Hey everyone, my name is Adrian, and I have been asked to go ahead and make some videos to answer some questions for some of the homeschool people in our group. Just a little background. I'm a mom of four, and our family has been homeschooling since 2006. So we've been at it a little bit of time. Um, we have two teenagers that are still at home. I have one senior that's ready to graduate, and I have our youngest who just turned 16, who still has a couple more years in high school. So, one of the things that was in the questions was about curriculum. So, I thought I would start there. Um, and the first thing I want to tell you about curriculum is that it needs to align with how you want to homeschool. So the things that I'm going to talk to you about today might not be a good fit for your family if this kind of method isn't the one you're pursuing. So if you haven't picked a method for homeschooling, if you've heard things like classical education or Charlotte Mason education or school at home or the Calvert methods, you need to do some research and figure out which kind of method works for your family. And one of the things I always direct new people to, or people that are searching for their methods to, is on YouTube, the 5 flavors of homeschooling. And it basically goes through some of the popular methods and breaks it down as to what those look like. And I think at the end, there's a survey you can take. It's done by Simply Charlotte Mason, but they're not necessarily promoting their Charlotte Mason method. They're just outlining the options. And that will help you to sort of eliminate the no thank yous, because it's overwhelming when you look at the curriculum and the options. It may be, where do I even begin? And that's where I would say to start. So, because if you're looking to do something that's similar to school, then some of these other things are not going to work for you. If you're not looking to do school at home, then you're not going to want to use curriculum that is read something and quiz and test and repeat. So you have to find the right fit for your family. And our family is basically considered eclectic, which kind of means that we look at the homeschool curriculum as a buffet. We're not doing school at home, and we're not unschooling where we're not doing anything. We're kind of in the middle. And we're going to look at things like classical education, where the history will rotate through the chronologically, and we rotate through that a couple of times. And we're going to look at Charlotte Mason with living books. We want to use historical fiction books. The more times we can use children's literature, the better, and the fewer textbooks for us, the better. So we're going to sort of cherry pick the things out of Charlotte Mason or classical education, and sometimes things that look like school at home or more structured textbook things that might fit for math, let's say. Um, Being eclectic is I like to pick and choose and put together something custom for each child. So the idea that what my oldest went through and used for curriculum is going to be passed down to my last child isn't happening. So just get that right out of the way. The curriculum you're buying now, you may not use through all of your siblings groups, and that's okay too. So what I wanted to talk to you about today was a science program that we found and that we really enjoyed and that we stayed with for several years. And it's called Elemental Science. And this is one of the books. What it looks like, it's probably backwards to you. And Elemental Science has a Charlotte Mason track with sassafras, and you can read a living book and um, go through the adventures of science through that book. Or you can take the classical approach, is what we started with, because sassafras wasn't there when we started. So we took a classical approach. And what we did was, you're going to stay in biology for the whole course. You're not going to spritz around between all the different things. It's biology for the whole time. This one is the logic book, which would be middle school, but we also did it for the grammar stage, which would be early elementary. And the nice thing about that is if you have one child that is in the middle school age and you've got a younger child, you're still in biology, so you're not going to two different sciences. You're able to teach to the level of that middle school child the biology, and you're able to teach to the level of the elementary school child biology. And you, as the parent, are not flip flopping between two different kinds of science curriculums, two different science programs. So that's one thing I really liked about it, because there's a 3-year spread between my youngest two children, so they weren't always in the same book at the same time. This program is very open and go. This is the teacher's guide, and it's going to lay out for you um, the book list that you're going to need to have, the timeline, everything you need is really right here. And I can link some of the pictures, I'll take some pictures of the pages, but there's very easy to read tables that tell you what's going to go on in Unit 1. You're in that for 5 weeks. What are the materials that you're going to need for those 5 weeks? So you can sit and plan a month at a time. The other nice thing about it is you get to choose whether you want to do science 5 days a week or whether you want to do it 2 days a week. Remember, science is not a skill-based learning. So you're not learning arithmetic that builds and builds, or learning phonetics and learning how to read and grammar. So you could do 2 days a week of science and you're doing a lot. If you'd rather do smaller bites and do it consistently through the week, that's fine too. But this gives you some options and it's very open and go. Elemental Science also offers lab kits, and I would strongly recommend you go ahead and purchase them. I think the last one that I purchased was about $60, but you had everything right down to the last paper clip that you needed to do the experiment, because I found over the years labs and experiments will be done if you have all the materials. If you're sitting at 9:30, 10 in the morning and you're pulling out your stuff to do your experiment and you're missing, something basic like paper clips or string or some two double-sided tape or something. I mean, are you really going to pack everybody up and go to the dollar store and go get that morning? Or are you tabling that and then maybe you don't get back around to that lab? So for me, having that box that came and everything I needed was in there, and I could look at my book and say, okay, the next 5 weeks I'm going to need X, Y, and Z, and pull those supplies, get that in a manageable place so I'm not digging through the lab box, but I've got the things I need for the coming month. That meant more likely that we would do the labs in addition to all the other things that we're doing. And in addition to this, the children get a book, and it has all of their empty blank labs in it, and they learn how to do the scientific process, and they learn how to make a hypothesis, and they learn how to do the procedure and write all that out. And it does lean back towards Charlotte Mason, where they do a narration of what happened and what was their reading. I like the books that they chose. Some of them were from Usborne. This one is the complete book of the human body. So when we did biology, this was a book that we used. It was very colorful, very engaging, easy to find secondhand. You don't have to buy this. Most of the books I have, I bought secondhand. So this is something you can find in the secondhand market. And another one was the Usborne Science Encyclopedia. So again, they're going to tell you what pages to go to, and there's reading that has to do with the topic that you're doing. So the books were really great. The support there in having the outline for me open and go was really good. And I thought that it was reasonably priced. When you start looking at some of the curriculums for science, they're $200 and $300 and $400 for a class, and that's expensive when you're looking at elementary school kids, middle school kids. You feel like you need to do it for high school because you need that transcript. You need that marked off for high school going into colleges, and you maybe want to skip it at elementary school. I would strongly say don't skip it. I would say find a science program that you can afford, and elemental is pretty reasonably priced, and there is secondhand market for it, because you want the kids to learn about that scientific method and how to write a lab and how to do inquiry before they get to high school. And in the classical approach, when they see it at the grammar stage and we talk about cells and biology, and then we look at it a little more complicated when they're at the logic stage, and then they see it a third time in high school, that's the third time that we're talking about, mitosis or genetics or something to do with biology. So those vocabulary words are familiar. Those processes are familiar, maybe at a basic level, but they have something that builds And when they're in high school, it's not completely brand new and they've never done anything with science before. So I would definitely say if you have elementary school kids and you're thinking, well, we get that math and we get that reading and everything else is extra, I would strongly urge you to think about a science program that you would be able to do and maintain. And we found elemental science to be great and a good fit for our family. And we stayed with it through elementary school, middle school. When we got to high school, their program was different. The publisher had a book similar to this. Paige Hudson had put a guide out, but the meat and bones of it was not hers. She had transferred that out to a ck12.com, and it was all online and we had to print out things, and we felt there was a huge jump between logic and rhetoric and the way she did it. I think it may have been updated now. This was several years ago. And so what we did at that point when we got to high school is we made the switch to apologia science. But during the elementary and middle school years, I definitely would recommend looking at elemental science, and I'll put down in the link um, how you can get up with that and look at it. I felt it was affordable. I felt it was solid, and you could work with it with multiple age kids and keeping your sanity with if you do choose chemistry or you choose biology, or I think the other one we did was astronomy and earth science. And there's also a physics. So you have 4 different sciences you can pick from to go into. But as a parent, I wasn't having to jump from chemistry with little ones and then into biology with middle school. And, that was a lot. So I like the idea that we stuck to biology and everybody was in that, or chemistry at the time. And we were having sort of a consistency the way we went about it. And with that, we were more likely to do science and more likely to get things done. So I hope that gives you some background on the science. And I'm going to go ahead and make some more videos on some more curriculum that we've used over the years, ones that we've stuck with, ones that we've really liked. But if there's something in the science area that you have a question about, or a curriculum that you're looking at, you can certainly put something in the comments and we'll see how we can support you there. Thanks for listening.